Highgate Ghosts, Highgate Cemetery, North London. Are there really such things as ghosts and vampires? Do you believe in the existence of spirits? Or you consider them as just hoax and tall tales? What about ghosts roaming around in a cemetery? A cemetery is a place meant to lay the dead to rest. But how many of these dead are really resting? While spirits lurking around in a cemetery may not be a thing of shock, stick with me as I unravel the peculiarity of Highgate Cemetery in North London and why it is considered one of the most haunted locations in England. You are on Daily Horror. Here, we bring you gravest of horrors that lurk around in our world, most of which are around you and you don't even have an idea. So, if you are thrilled by terror and consider yourself brave enough to face any dreadful situation, subscribe and turn on your notification to get notified anytime we put up a new video. A first look at images from the Highgate Cemetery seem like a set straight from a horror movie, so much it has even featured in a couple, such as 1972's Tales from the Crypt. This, however, is one of the most haunted places in England. There are very few graveyards around the world that could compete with the level of paranormal activity happening behind the gothic walls of London's Highgate Cemetery. The 177-year-old resting place has been at the center of some of the world's most spine-tingling legends, but some of them are even stranger than tales of ghosts. Some of them involve real vampires. Highgate Cemetery was born out of desperate need. In early 1800s, London, the city's population had just crossed 1 million mark and was growing at a monster pace, despite the impressive death rate. Hence, something must be done to accommodate the dead. By 1839, the Highgate Cemetery was created. The landscape and the architectural designs made it popular among the wealthy Londoners. Nevertheless, the First and Second World War left a mark on the cemetery as the graveyard was closed and the company in charge announced bankruptcy. Highgate Cemetery is divided into two sections, the East and the West. These cemeteries are divided by Swains Lane, which was to become notorious for its reports of vampire and ghost sightings. This commenced in the early 1960s, when a pair of teenage girls claimed to sight the dead rising from their graves as they strolled down Swains Lane late at night. Shortly after they reported this incident, another report of a horrid black figure lurking behind the gates of the cemetery was reported, again by people walking along Swains Lane. Ghosts and ghouls haunted the alleyways around the graveyard. By 1970, the landscaping had become a wildly overgrown jungle, and the impressive architectures had become so dilapidated. There were rumors of men dressed in dark robes who used the isolation of the forgotten graveyard to practice their dark rituals. People reported seeing red-eyed demons staring at them through the fence. The Highgate vampire is rumored to be a medieval nobleman who practiced black magic in Romania and whose coffin was relocated from continental Europe in the 18th century by his followers who bought a house for him in the West End. He was buried at that site, and eventually that site became Highgate Cemetery. He slumbered peacefully for a while until, according to Sean Manchester, Satanists performing a ritual at the cemetery woke him. The Highgate vampire is reported to be a very tall, dark figure that glides through the cemetery. His presence is frequently announced by a sudden drop in temperature. He has also reportedly caused clocks and watches to stop. He terrifies any and all animals in his vicinity and has been blamed for scores of dead foxes on and around the cemetery grounds. He has a hypnotic stare and bone-chilling effect on all who have encountered him. But the Highgate vampire is just the tip of the mystical iceberg about this creepy graveyard. Scores of people have reportedly heard all manner of sounds coming from the cemetery, including heart-stopping ghostly wails. Spectral faces float around the place. A ghostly cyclist wanders the grounds, as does the floating ghost of a nun. Many people have reported physical assaults, and then there are the spirits who appear with such frequency that the locals have named them. There is the mad old woman, a spirit that is often seen running frantically among the graves, her long grey hair streaming behind her. According to legend, she is looking for the children she murdered in a fit of rage. There is the shrouded figure, a morose spectre that is usually seen staring up at the sky. If you approach her too quickly, she will disappear, only to reappear a few meters away. Less frequently seen, but more menacing, is the Devil Ghoul. He is a ghost with a set of piercing red eyes and a habit of vanishing in direct light. Today, Highgate Cemetery has 170,000 people buried in 53,000 graves on its 37 acres, and it's still a working graveyard. It holds a number of events throughout the year, along with tours of the West Cemetery. Daily entrances available to the East Cemetery, where you can roam freely around. Have you been to the Highgate Cemetery? What was your experience? Did you encounter any of the mentioned entities? To this widely acclaimed eerie site, tell us in the comment section. Don't forget to like and share this video. Till we meet again, stay spooked.